dead set fair go. I thank the House.
Call the honourable member for Throsby.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Earlier today we saw the Leader of Government Business in the House use an industrial dispute of some vintage in Victoria to justify the reintroduction of harsh industrial relations laws into this parliament. We've become accustomed to listening to members of the Liberal Party in particular talking about unions, union members, union officers and officials in pejorative and a negative fashion, demonising the work that they do. Rarely, if ever, in fact I don't believe I've ever heard government members talking about the hard work of the decent men and women who are unionists and who dedicate their lives to securing jobs, businesses and rights at work for Australian men and women. So I'd like to use the opportunity of this adjournment debate to level and equalise the noise in this place. I'd like to tell a story that the member for Cunningham and myself are very familiar with, and that is the work of certain CFMEU officials on the south coast of New South Wales who have been directly responsible for dealing with a very difficult set of circumstances confronting two mines in the Illawarra. And I can say with absolute certainty, had it not been for the hard work of one District Vice President, a man by the name of Bob Timms, and the officials of the lodges representing the Russell Vale mine in the member for Cunningham's electorate and the Wongawilli mine in my electorate, the men and women who work at those mines would not have jobs today, and quite literally the hundreds of creditors who are owed money by the former operators of that mine would not see their money. What's gone on is this. On the 25th of September, the 500 workers of a company by the name of Gujarat NRE were told that they weren't going to be getting their weekly wages. In fact, that was the 25th of September. If you roll the clock forward another 6 weeks, they had still been attending work each and every day, working for the company that employed them without being paid. The average worker at the conclusion of around about 6 weeks was owed about $13,500. We understand that there are several hundred creditors who were owed significant amounts of money by this business as well. The work of Mr Timms and the lodge officials, in the face of quite a bit of hostility and uncertainty within the workforce, who are understandably at pains to see how they could be turning up for work day in and day out and not being paid at the same time as their families were struggling to meet their bills, to put food on the table, to keep their kids at school, to put petrol in the car, to turn up to work each and every day. But due to the work of the union in running a welfare fund and putting some minimum payments into the bank accounts of workers, they managed to keep those workers at work. They managed to keep those workers turning up to work each and every day to try and keep the business ticking over, to try and keep the mine operating in both of those mines at the time when they weren't being paid. It was, in effect, Mr Deputy Speaker, a reverse strike. It was the employer that wasn't paying these people, and yet they were turning up to work every day. Thankfully, Deputy Speaker, a new investor has come in, a business by the name of Jindal Power and Steel, a foreign investor I should say. We're often encouraged to demonise foreign investors, but I can say if it wasn't for this foreign investor, the mine wouldn't be operating. They've re-injected around about $150 million into the business, and probably more money to come. They are currently, with the assistance of the member for Cunningham and myself, talking to levels of government who are also creditors, and our state Labor members of Parliament talking to their government in New South Wales to work out arrangements to ensure that the mine can work through all the money that is being owed to the creditors but continue to cut coal and export coal. Deputy Speaker, I go to some lengths to tell this story because in this place we are often encouraged to demonise one union in particular, the CFMEU. In fact, a whole inquiry was set up to demonise that union in particular. Never do we hear the good stories that they do. Never do we hear the work that they are doing in ensuring the welfare, the payment and securing not only of their members, the fact that this business will continue to operate. And I think in this place and on this day, they deserve some credit.